Hey everyone, welcome back to Robotics. I hope you guys are doing well. Today we're going to have our 9th lecture, again on forward kinematics. To get us started, I've got a video, and this is a video of a soft robot arm. Now you guys might remember from the previous lecture that forward kinematics is all about figuring out the position and the orientation of the robot's gripper with respect to its base. We've been focusing on doing that for rigid robot arms, and we're going to do the same thing today. But just as a thought exercise, I want to show you this soft robot arm. Imagine you've got the same problem where you want to figure out where this robot's gripper is as you move these different soft joints all along the backbone of the robot. It's quite tricky, right? Because instead of just having a finite number of joints to capture, here you could have an infinite number of joints that guide how this robot moves. All right, we don't want to deal with that today. Let's stick with our rigid serial robot arms and practice our forward kinematics with an example. Okay, so let's get started. I want to begin with just a little bit of recap to make sure we're all on the same page. The beginning of this process is I'm going to take my serial robot arm and I'm going to think about its joint position. So this robot has got n different joints. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure each of their positions, whether that's in a revolute joint in radians or a prismatic joint maybe in meters. I'm just going to stack each of these different positions together in order to form my overall position vector. So once I've measured theta using something like encoders, I now know where the robot's joints are. I want to figure out where the robot's end effector is. Where is its gripper? And that is the process of finding the robot's forward kinematics. It's a mapping from our fixed stationary frame all the way out to this body frame that's attached to the robot's gripper. And so we're going to be finding this transformation matrix T of theta. Reminder, a transformation matrix captures both rotation and position. I also want to mention that you can use the same process to find the position and orientation of another point along the robot's backbone. Maybe you want to find the forward kinematics at this point right here. Totally fine. You can use the same process. Just attach this coordinate frame B to whatever that point is that you're interested in, and you can use the forward kinematics to find where that point is as a function of theta. Okay, so here is the process that we covered in our previous lecture. The first step is we wanted to find the robot's home position. Like where are we going to say that theta is equal to 0? Once we have that home position, we're going to find T of 0. Now that's the transformation matrix from S to B when the robot is in that home position. So maybe we say, this is the home position for our robot arm. I want to find a transformation matrix from S to B. I'll write that out. And then I'm going to find each of the screws, again, when the robot is in that home position. So I've got maybe, let's say, 3 joints right here. I'd find screw for S1, S2, and S3. Use the correct formula for those screws, whether it's a prismatic joint or a revolute joint. Finally, once you have S1 through Sn and you've got T of 0, you're ready to plug them in to your product exponentials formula, and you've got your robot's forward kinematics. So the really tricky part here is just finding T of 0 and then finding these screws. I want to give one other recap, which goes back to the right-handed rule, because it's very important to understand our coordinate frames for these systems. Now, the right-handed rule's got 2 parts. Reminder, to make sure that your coordinate frame correctly lines up, and it is a right-handed coordinate frame, put your index finger aligned with the x-axis of whatever that frame is you're interested in. Your middle finger should align with the y-axis, and your thumb with the z-axis. If you can't do that, you don't have the right coordinate frame. Second, once you've got that coordinate frame and you want to figure out what's the positive direction of rotation, point your thumb in the direction of whatever axis you're interested in and curl your fingers. That is direction of positive rotation. So if this is the z-axis, this would be the positive direction of rotation for that z-axis. Okay, so that was a recap. Now let's practice. We're going to practice the forward kinematics with an example. And for this example, I've got a robot arm that's got 3 revolute joints. I think it'll be more clear in the next slide. But here's my spatial frame attached to the robot's base. I'm going to have a revolute joint right here, another revolute joint right here, a revolute joint right here, and then here's going to be my robot's end effector. So this is the robot kind of moving around, and it's really just moving in a plane. Again, if you think about your screen as like a tabletop, the robot is moving around in that plane, your screen. So here I wanted to find my first step. I wanted to find my robot's home position. And here you can probably see the robot a bit more clearly. I've put it flat, and this is the robot's home position. So I've got my 3 revolute joints. I've got my robot's end effector, and I've attached my coordinate frames. I've said my spatial frame is going to be at the robot's base. My body frame is going to be at the robot's end effector. I've got these 3 revolute joints, and the distance of L units between each of these links. So each link is just a line of length L. And again, this robot is moving in a plane. Okay. So here's the robot's home position where theta is equal to 0 for each of these different revolute joints. Okay, so that was our first step. We've got our robot in our home position. The second step is I want to find T of 0. That's the transformation matrix from S to B when the robot is in this home position. And we can actually get that by looking at the drawing. First, I want to think about the rotation, like how aligned is this body frame with my spatial frame. And if you look at these different axes, I can see that X is lined up with X, Y is lined up with Y, and Z is lined up with Z. So something like identity would make sense here because these two coordinate frames are aligned. Next, I want to think about the position vector from my spatial frame out to my body frame. Now I'll notice that the displacement is 3L units along the x-axis here. So it'll be 3L units along my x-axis, and there's no displacement in either y or z. And so I can build this transformation matrix T of 0. Like I mentioned, R is going to be equal to identity since B is already lined up perfectly with S. And then my displacement is 3L units along the XS axis because that's the offset between my coordinate frame S and this coordinate frame B. So here from the drawing, I've got my original transformation matrix. Now the next step, and probably the hardest step, is I want to find the screws for my robot arm. So I want to find S1, S2, and S3. Reminder, what are these screws? They're just telling you the axis or direction of motion for each of these individual joints. And so they're a way of capturing kind of, if you move this joint, how is it going to affect the velocity locally for that joint. So first you want to designate, are these prismatic joints or are they revolute joints? And in this case, I've got 3 different revolute joints. And so I'm going to be using this formula to find the screws for the revolute joints. Now, a couple reminders for definitions. Here, omega s hat, that's a 3x1 vector. It's a unit vector just pointing in the direction of positive rotation. So you'd want to, this is where we want to apply our right-handed rule. Great. Okay, we've got a valid coordinate frame. And let's see the z-axis is coming out of the screen towards me. So I'll point my thumb in that direction, I'll curl my fingers, and that'll tell me the positive direction of rotation is indeed like what you see here. So these are all rotating around the positive z-axis. So 0, 0, 1 would make sense for omega s. And then P is going to be a 3x1 vector that tells me the position of this joint with respect to my spatial frame. So let's get started. I'll show you an example, and then maybe you can do the rest. Let's get started with this first joint. So I'm going to find omega s. In this case, I'll just call it omega 1. I know that this joint is rotating around the positive z-axis. We just mentioned that. So 0, 0, 1 makes sense for omega 1. Now for position, this joint is already right on top of the spatial frame. So there's no offset here, and my position 1 is going to be 0, 0, 0. Then I'll use the formula you see right here in order to construct my screw, and that's what you see right here. It's a 6x1 vector. It's the first screw axis. I'll call it S1. So here's S1. Now I'm going to repeat this process for the second joint, and maybe you want to pause the video and think for a second, see if you can figure out omega 2, P2, and then S2. Okay, here's what I got. So for omega 2, again, I know that this joint is rotating around the positive z-axis. So 0, 0, 1 makes sense for my omega 2. Now for P2, that's the position of this joint with respect to the spatial frame, and it's L units along the x-axis. So I'm going to have L, 0, 0. And then finally, I'm going to build this screw. So I'll be using the screw formula you see right here. I'll have omega s hat on the top, and then this bracket P crossed with omega s on the bottom. Now you might be wondering, why do I have this subscript L1? I was just being very specific that this is the length for this first joint. You can just call it L. Okay, now we're going to repeat this process for my third joint. So here I've got the same omega 3, because again, I'm rotating around the z-axis. So I'll be this axis that's coming out of the screen towards you. So I'll have 0, 0, 1. For my position, I'm going to have L, L. So I'm going to be offset by 2 L units off to the right. And that'll be along the x-axis. So my P3 is going to be L1, this first L, plus L2, the second one right here. And you could also call that 2L. I think I was just being very specific here, so you can understand the slides. And I've got 0 at X, 0 at Y, and 0 and Z. So L1 plus L2, 0, 0. And then finally, I can build this overall screw using the formula you see right here. Okay. And again, if you have just negative 2L there, you're doing it right. Cool. So now that I have these screws, S1, S2, and S3, and I also have this initial transformation matrix T0, I'm ready to apply the forward kinematics formula, this product of exponentials. Now, the one thing to note here is the number of different transformation matrices I need here depends on how many different joints I have. Since I have 3 joints, I'm going to need 1 transformation matrix for the first, 1 for the second, and 1 for the third. Here I'm going to show you how to do this whole thing in MATLAB. So I'm going to first declare my symbolic variables. I'm going to say that L, that's my length, that's going to be a real number. And similarly, this theta, I'm going to declare this to be a 3x1 vector of, again, real numbers. So I'm declaring two different variables here, L and then theta. And theta is a 3x1 vector of theta 1, theta 2, theta 3. Then I'm going to put in T0. Now this is the formula we already found for my initial transformation matrix from S to B in the robot's home position. So it's identity for rotation, 3L units for the position, 0, 0, and then all zeros and 1 on the bottom. Then I'm going to put omega, P1, P2, and P3. We kind of found these quantities together. And I'm going to use the screws formulas that we have from previous lectures to build these screws S1, S2, and S3. Again, if you're wondering where this comes from, just flip back. We're using this exact formula we talked about right here. So here I am building up these different screws. So I'm going to have my screws for S1, S2, and S3, and I also have T0. Now I can put all of this together and apply the product of exponentials formula. And that's going to give me some transformation matrix T. Now in MATLAB, if you get one of these transformation matrices, it can look really messy. You can actually use this command simplify to get a cleaner version of that transformation matrix. For example, if there's any trigonometry tricks, MATLAB will automatically apply them if you apply this simplify command. When I run this code, this is the answer I get. This is my transformation matrix. Before I explain, I want to just mention the shorthand. Here I'm using letters like C1 and C12, S1, S12. That's short for sine and cosine. So C1 is the cosine of theta 1, S1 is the sine of theta 1, and if I write something like C12, that's the cosine of theta 1 plus theta 2. Similarly, C123, cosine of theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3. I just did that so I could fit this cleanly onto the slide without it being some really long equation. But overall, here is my forward kinematics. And let's look at it for a second and make sure it makes sense. So I know that this is a transformation matrix. I've got a rotation matrix up here on the top left. I've got my position vector over here, 0, 0, 0, 1. If I look at this rotation matrix, this is pure rotation around the z-axis. That makes sense because this robot is moving in a plane. I know that it is rotating around the z-axis. The overall rotation of the end effector is going to be the effect of rotating the first, second, and third joints. So I've got the cosine of theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3. That also makes sense because rotating each of these joints changes the orientation of the end effector. Now, if I look over here for my position vector, I've got 0 as my position in the z-axis, no matter what I do with theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3. That makes sense because, again, I'm moving in a plane. No matter how I rotate these joints, I never move out of that plane. And so I'll always have a position of z equals 0. And then these capture the position in the x and the y axes. It's got the cosines and sines that you might expect, where L is the length of each of these different arms, that these links as you rotate or move these different joints. Okay, so that's an example of how we can apply forward kinematics and the product of exponentials formula in order to find this transformation matrix T for a given robot arm. If you'd like to practice this concept a bit more, I encourage you to go and check out the practice slides for today's lecture. In this practice set, the first page has got the problems and the following pages have the solutions. You can see it in the description or in the pinned comment. Once you're done with that, we can move on to our next topic. And actually, we're changing gears a little bit. So we've been talking about the end effector's position and orientation, but the next thing I want to think about is the end effector's velocity and how that moves around in space. That's going to lead us to a new topic called the Jacobian, so I look forward to seeing you there.